holidays, everybody, and welcome to our holiday special of Cooking with Coastline. So today we're going to be doing some desserts for you. Mine is a no-bake coconut snowball.
And I'm going to be making a chocolate chip pumpkin bread.
Awesome. Yeah, so two very different recipes that we're going to be showing you today, but the ingredients that we're putting in are very simple. So what I've done here is I've added 1 cup of shredded unsweetened coconut, and then I did about 3 teaspoons of coconut oil. So I just put it in the food processor here a couple of times, that way it can get chopped up. So now I'm going to be adding some of the wet ingredients to it. Okay, so I'm going to be adding a few tablespoons of maple syrup. Now, if you're diabetic, you could do a sugar-free maple syrup or some agave nectar. That way it's lower in sugar. We've also done some unsweetened coconut milk. Okay, about an 1/8 teaspoon of salt. And about a 1/2 teaspoon of vanilla extract. There we go. Okay, so I'm just going to put this back on the food processor. Make sure my cover's on top there. Okay.
Should I start heating up the...
Yeah, sure. Yeah, Jess. So we're going to be doing a dark chocolate that's going to cover our snowball. So Jess, actually, if you wouldn't mind doing that, I would appreciate that. Okay.
So we just have some dark chocolate in medium?
Yeah, so medium-high heat. Yep. Okay. And that shouldn't take very long to do at all, really. It only takes a couple of minutes or so. Okay. So feel free to just take a spatula and make sure that all of the ingredients get wet here. And now I'm going to be adding a little bit more of some shredded coconut. We have about 3/4 of a cup here. Okay. There you go. Gonna puree that a little bit again. You want it to kind of get to kind of like that butter-like consistency. So that'll go really nice when you put it in the fridge. It'll get like a really nice soft consistency when you eat it. Okay. And again, feel free to push this down as many times as you need to. Make sure that the coconut gets chopped up very well. How's that chocolate looking over there?
Coming along.
See?
Maybe a few more minutes.
Yeah. It goes by pretty fast, Okay, just a little bit more coconut here, and then we'll be set. You know, and a lot of these recipes too, they called for, you know, milk chocolate or white chocolate, but we chose to do a dark chocolate. That way we could get some antioxidants in there. And the higher percentage for a dark chocolate, the better. Typically, they say over 70% is usually the goal that you want to aim for. So yeah, so the darker the chocolate, the better. The higher percentage, the better. Okay. All right, so this is looking good here. All right, so now we're going to take this out. Give it a little bit more of a mixture again. Make sure everything is all combined here. Okay. All right. And make sure that you don't have any rings on, because this part can get a little messy. Okay, so what you're gonna do is just take a little bit of the ball, okay, a little bit of this mixture, and just roll it into a ball. Okay? And this is something that you can do with the grandkids, you know, and you don't have to worry about any kind of, you know, foodborne illness or anything like that, food safety, because you don't have to bake these. Okay, growing up, I always used to love eating the cookie batter. My mom's like, no, don't eat it, because of the raw eggs and that. Nice thing, you don't get that with this, which is great. Okay.
Almost ready.
Yeah, it's looking really good. Okay. Very good. And then Jess, once you're done, did I give you the bowl? Yes, okay.
Yes.
Great. And you know, these would make great little gifts too. I saw someone who did this, and after it had hardened in the fridge, then they put it in a cute little jar and then gave it to people as gifts for Christmas too.
All right, so the chocolate is all ready, so I'm going to pour it into this little bowl here, and then we can start putting it on.
And I found too that the chocolate wasn't too hot. You know, when I first tried out this recipe, the chocolate wasn't very hot because it's only on there for a couple of minutes or so. Okay. And this recipe will make about, you know, depending on the size, you know, around like 12, 13 snowballs.
Okay. This is all set.
There you go.
So now you'll be putting these in the refrigerator. The snowballs have to harden a bit.
They do. Yes, they do. So you can put them in overnight. That way they can get, you know, nice and firm, because you don't want it to fall apart when you're adding that chocolate to it. So for us, we actually have one that's already taken care of. So if you wouldn't mind getting that out for me, Jess.
Okay.
Okay, perfect. Perfect. Okay, so we'll put this aside. And so now, all that you do basically is you just dip your little snowball in the chocolate. Again, another good reason not to have any rings on this day.
Roll up my sleeves for this one.
Exactly. You know, kind of make sure any of the drippings don't come off, and you just put it on. Oh, thank you, Jess.
You're welcome.
This is why the kids would love to do this, because it's so messy, you know? Kids love to get messy. That's okay. And it's delicious. It's absolutely delicious. They actually kind of taste a little bit like an Almond Joy would, believe it or not. It just really has that nice, smooth texture in the middle of it.
Getting chocolate all over you. Sorry about that.
That's okay.
Sorry about that.
Of all the things in the world to get on me, chocolate is, you know, the least of my worries. I love chocolate. Okay. Done. And then when we're done with this, we just sprinkle a little bit of coconut on there, and then it's done. And you just put it in the fridge for about 5 to 10 minutes. Okay. If you wanted to, you could roll the entire thing in coconut, shredded coconut if you wanted. You don't have to do that. But I think a little bit of shredded coconut on the top just kind of adds a little something, you know? Very good.
The kids are gonna love making this.
Oh, I know, I know. It's nice and messy, yeah. So then you just add a little bit of the shredded coconut on top. Me and my chocolate knuckles. You want to try and do it as fast as you can before the chocolate hardens there. Okay, and you're done. How easy was that? Okay, so we can put that in the fridge. And we're gonna wash our hands. Okay.
Okay, so I'm going to be making a chocolate chip pumpkin bread. And you think a lot of time pumpkin, like fall flavors, and we're getting into the holidays, but Steph told me earlier today that it's National Pumpkin Day on December 25th.
Go figure.
On Christmas. So we're gonna celebrate pumpkins, and we're gonna make a nice pumpkin bread with chocolate chips. So with baking, it's really a science. And you need to be very specific with your measurements. So we have a lot of ingredients here that we're gonna mix together, but I'm going to first start off by doing the dry ingredients. We're gonna start with dry, and then we'll have a separate wet ingredients bowl. So we're gonna take 2 cups of whole wheat flour.
Getting our whole grains in.
Yep. Great. You wanna make sure you measure correctly here. So we have 2 cups here. Go. Go over there. We're going to do a teaspoon of baking powder. Okay. So we're just mixing everything together here. We have a 1/2 teaspoon of baking soda.
Yeah, especially when you're doing baking powder, baking soda, when you're doing something from scratch, you want to make sure that you follow the recipe to the T.
To the T.
Because she's absolutely right that there is a science to it. Yeah.
So now I'm going to add in some of our nice spices. We're going to do some ground cinnamon, some ground nutmeg, and some ground ginger. And then I'm just
ginger would be nice.
Yes. And then I'm going to just take a fork here, and then we're going to add in a little bit of salt. We're going to do a half teaspoon. Where'd my little half teaspoon go? So, put some in here. There we go. And then I'm just going to take a fork and whisk this together. And so we're going to be, later on, we're going to be adding in the dry ingredients to the wet ingredients. So a smaller bowl is fine here, and we're going to use a bit larger bowl for the wet ingredients. So I'm going to switch out here. And then I'm going to be adding a tablespoon of coconut oil. And if you don't mind starting to get the egg whites together, it's just 2 large egg whites. Mm-hmm. Yep. There we go. And then we're going to be doing 1.5 teaspoons of vanilla extract, which you have over there. So I'm going to sneak around this way.
Me and my eggy hands. Yes, I do.
So we have 1.5 teaspoons. Here. And then once we get the egg whites in, we'll mix that.
No pressure. There we go.
So this is a nice healthy alternative because we're using just the egg whites here instead of using the egg yolks.
There you go. All right, good to go.
From underneath here. So we're gonna mix this all together, and I'm gonna whisk that. Just do a little bit of a whisk.
You know, and if you at first don't succeed, try again. I know that when I did that technique a few times, you know, when I've baked in the past, the egg yolks get all in, and it's oh no, you know, but after a while, you know, hey, that's why it's nice to do it in a separate bowl first before you add it into something like that.
All right, so now that we have this mixed up, I'm going to be adding in a cup of pumpkin puree, and make sure you don't get the pumpkin pie filling. We just want the pumpkin puree.
100% pumpkin.
And then we're going to be adding in some non-fat plain Greek yogurt. I'm going to mix this up. And you're going to mix this until you don't have any lumps left. So you can do it by hand, or if you have a mixer available, you can do a mixer. I'm just going to do the mixer really quickly. Oh, magnetic. All right, and then once we've mixed that all up, I'm going to be adding in 1/3 cup of maple syrup. So again, we're using maple syrup instead of using sugar, so another healthy version here. All right, so we're adding that all in. And then we're gonna stir that up as well. And this time I'm gonna use a spoon for this.
Yeah, sure. You know, and it's like sugar is sugar is sugar, you know, especially like the white sugar, it's refined. We like to go for more of a natural sugar like maple syrup or honey, something that Mother Nature gave us. You know, but having too much sugar in your diet isn't a good thing, you know, but over the whole course of this recipe, you know, you figure how much are you really going to be consuming anyway.
Exactly.
You'll just be consuming a little bit.
So what I've started to do is starting to combine the dry with the wet ingredients. I've taken the first 1/3 of the flour and put it into the wet ingredients and mixing it. We want to make sure it gets all mixed in there. And then I also have a 1/4 cup of non-fat milk. And so I'm going to put the first set of dry ingredients, I'm going to do half of my milk, put it in there, mix that up. And then I'm going to add in, ooh, it's all over the place, the second 1/3, as you could say, I guess, of the dry ingredients.
So I guess the whole point of this is to make sure that all of the flour is soaked up by all of the wet ingredients, basically.
And you could use, actually when I was doing this earlier, when I made the first loaf, I used the hand mixer, but right now I'm just using a spoon, and I might go in with the hand mixer at the end to make sure that everything's combined. And then I'm going to add in your last bit of milk here. Mix this up. So it's just a lot of stirring and combining things. That's all what baking's about here.
Yeah.
And then I'm going to add in our last, and you want to make sure you end on the flour.
Okay.
So that's the recipe it called for. So I'm going to mix this up a little bit, and then I'm going to run the hand mixer through just to make sure that we have everything together.
And this is a nice little alternative too, because a lot of people like to make banana nut bread. You know, so this is something a little different, a little new, nice little fun recipe that you can make. You can make it with your kids too.
Right. And you'll probably have a lot of these ingredients already in your home from either the Thanksgiving or something like that, Thanksgiving
especially
cooking.
The canned pumpkin.
Right. So I'm just going to mix this up a bit. You see with the hand mixer, it just really comes together and gets it a lot doughier. So we have that. So I have this all mixed together.
And I'll spray this pan for you, Jess.
Okay. So now we're going to be adding in the chocolate chips. So I have 3 tablespoons of chocolate chips here. I'm going to be adding in 2, maybe 2.5 of the tablespoons right now. And then I'm going to fold this all in together. Let me just see if there's a, okay. So I'm going to mix this all together here.
Looks really good. You know, and I bet if you didn't want any chocolate chips, if you wanted to add craisins or walnuts,
I was gonna say like cranberries or
that'd be really nice.
Or
dark chocolate too.
Yes, there you go.
Okay.
So now we have this sprayed loaf pan, and I am going to. Do you mind holding that for me?
No, not
Just
at all.
because my hands are a little wet. Thank you. So I'm going to put this into the loaf pan. There we go.
It smells really good.
It does with all the spices. Okay, thank you. So then I'm going to press it into the pan here. And we've already set our oven to 350 degrees. So that's all ready to go.
Now, how long will this bake for?
This will bake for 35 to 40 minutes, depending on your oven. And you'll know that it's finished by just putting a toothpick through it, and if it comes out clean, you're ready to go.
Good.
So with the leftover chocolate chips, I'm just gonna put them right on top. This is just more for like presentation. And then what you're gonna do is put them there, and then you're gonna kind of just like press down on them so that they kind of go into the dough. And there must have been a little Greek yogurt. So you have a little extra Greek yogurt on top too.
Go.
So we're gonna put that in here.
It's more probiotics.
Yes.
Let's add some more.
So we're gonna put this in, and like I said, it's gonna be 35 minutes.
Okay.
And then once you pull it out of the oven, it's going to look
Ta-da!
like this.
Beautiful. And actually, I believe the coconut snowballs, those should be about ready too. 5 to 10 minutes in the fridge.
Okay.
Perfect.
Perfect.
Look at that. How easy was that? Just made 2 simple desserts, you know, that just had a lot of dry ingredients in it, but
yeah, but it wasn't
overall,
too difficult.
No, very simple recipe to do.
It's good for a beginner too, if you're looking to make desserts, because it's very specific and you just do what you're told.
Right.
So
exactly. Follow the recipe.
Just follow it.
Follow the recipe.
All right, so I'll cut up some bread.
Great.
And then we can get a couple plates.
Sounds good. Okay.
All right.
Beautiful. And now we're all ready for the holidays.
All right.
And I'll get you a snowball, Jess. Okay. Yeah, see, that's perfect. Yeah, 5 to 10 minutes. You don't really need a long time for this to wait.
Perfect. There we go. There we go.
Okay. Cheers.
Cheers. Looks good. I'm excited to try this bread. Very good.
It's delicious. It's very moist. You can taste all the different spices in there. Oh, it's beautiful. There's not a lot of chocolate in here, which I like.
Yeah, it's not overloaded.
Like overly sweet.
Now you could serve this cold, or if you wanted to heat it back up again, like we have it just, we had it in the refrigerator earlier, so still on the cooler side, but if you wanted to, you can serve it, warm it up a little bit so the chocolate melts, however you'd like to do it.
Oh my gosh.
Those are so good.
It's so good. It's so much better than an Almond Joy, really.
It really is.
And you're not looking at a ton of calories either.
No.
You don't want to eat the entire batch, you know?
Right.
But you know, maybe about like 70 calories per ball, you know?
Yeah.
And if you wanted to make them smaller, you know, you could do that too, and it would be even less calories. Just don't eat a ton of the small ones, right?
Everything in moderation.
Okay.
Well, thank you so much for watching. Stay tuned for our next episode, and happy holidays.
Happy holidays, everybody.